welcome back to the channel. Yep, that's me 3 days ago. I was absolutely ripping the R1M on the new version of the Tail of the Dragon here in Wisconsin. This bike just sounds fantastic under load. And I was leaning pretty far on these corners. Then I rode home, and the next day, got on the bike with a buddy, went 5 minutes down the road, and this is what happened. Tell from the clips my hand is off the clutch, yet when I pull the throttle, nothing happens. I barely move forward. Also in one of those clips you could see the clutch lever completely closed on its own. And there was no tension on the clutch cable, bringing it back out again. And I plan on bringing this R1M to Arizona in only a few weeks, so I think it's the clutch that blew up. But let's open the right side case cover, diagnose this issue. We loosened all the bolts in a star pattern. This case is ready to come off. Got the clutch cable off as well. Really simple. She's ready to pop out whenever we finish untightening all these bolts. So let's see what we find behind here. The clutch shift lever piece has to be rotated all the way back. Oh, I'm sorry, right to the side. Just like that. Initial inspection, case looks very clean, no metal shavings at all. There's the gasket for the case. Inside the clutch itself looks fantastic. Underneath looks good. So these teeth right here on that stick link into that inside of the case, which is what your clutch lever attaches to. So when you pull the clutch cable, it turns that stick, pulling these in or out, engaging or disengaging the clutch. I think that's how it works. You see the heat colors on that gear? Well, it looks really good right now, but let's take off the springs and the clutch plates. Looks like this sucker got pretty hot. The metal is blue. Almost all the clutch plates out. Now we're onto these rings, and this first one coming out is a coned ring. I don't know if you can tell, it's kind of like shaped inwards. So the first ring is coned. I'm gonna place that right on top, just how it came out. And then there's another ring before this last clutch plate that is flat. Last ring is actually kind of stuck on the back wall there with the oil. So here's the last clutch plate, like this, exactly how it came out. Here's that last ring, and you can tell this one is completely flat. I'm no mechanic, but I'm not seeing anything that would make the clutch not engage while riding. So instead of me like blowing it up or having something disengage inside the transmission, I think this clutch is just burnt out. From what I'm reading online, all the symptoms are for a burnt out clutch. We got $400 worth of OEM Yamaha clutch components coming in the mail. We'll catch you then. right, so we unboxed everything from Partzilla. Here are all the metal plates. This is the part number for them. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these. We have one of these smaller plates. You can see the width of this plate is a little bit smaller than these plates. I don't know what this is for or why I got this. Here are the springs. Those are the old springs. A couple more bolts for the case. Got our metal pieces. Remember, one of them is like concave and the other one is completely flat. And here finally are the friction plates. We have 2 different part numbers because I believe there are 2 different types of friction plates that go in the clutch. But we need to soak these bad boys in some oil, so we got some OEM Yamaha lube. Let's pick it up right now. Here's the Yamaha lube for the Yamaha R1M. My lovely festive bowl that I'm gonna put some lube in and then place those friction discs in here, let them soak in some oil. Now remember, there are 2 different part numbers for the friction plates. This is the first part number. There's only 3 of these. One of these goes at the very far back of the gearbox, and then the other 2 go at the very front of the gearbox. That means that there are 7 of these friction plates. So let's start with one of these, plop it in the gearbox, and then we put in the new metal rings. First plate going in. Now I'm gonna wanna line it up with this little notch on the block right there. First plate, all the way in. There's that little notch I was talking about. The crevice on these friction plates lines up directly with that notch. Let's open up the rest of these 7 friction plates, toss them in the oil. The 7 friction plates are soaking right now before we put them in the bike. This is my old stack of plates and friction plates that I'm going off of to make sure I'm putting everything back in the way it came out. So next, after the friction plate that I just put in, is the flat spring. So let's move this old flat spring over to my pile and grab the new flat spring. Not flat spring. So next is this flat ring. Let's put that over in my old pile and grab the new flat spring. Put it in the clutch. Just like that. And next after this is this conical ring that has a little bit of an edge to it. That conical word, never used it before in my life. Conical ring going in. So we have 1 friction plate and both of the rings in place. Now we are ready for our first metal steel plate, and we have 8 of these bad boys. This is the 9th, which goes on at the very end. And essentially it's gonna be plate, friction plate, plate, friction plate. So to give you guys a quick perspective on how burnt out my clutch was, look at the heat markings on this steel plate compared to that steel plate, which is brand new. One is all blue and purple, and the other one is completely clean. This is basically what all the plates look like on the old clutch. One more thing on these steel plates that you guys might not notice on camera is there's a smooth edge on top here and a hard edge on the bottom. Very sharp, and the top is smooth, and it goes in smooth edge first. That is how these steel plates came out. The smooth edge was on the inside and the hard edge was on the outside. You can also see that all my friction plates are lined up. Grooves are all on the same, right with that arrow. 3 friction plates left and 2 metal steel plates. And then we're gonna jump onto the case and the springs, and I'll show you guys that in a minute. I'm down to my last friction plate that will actually fit on the edge of this ring. Then my last plate, which is the thinnest, you can see the diameter is a little bit smaller than the regular steel plates. Here's the old one. This is the new one. Same width and diameter. This plate and the last friction plate go on the thrust plate. That's all we got room for. Here's my last friction plate. Boom. Goes on just like that. Boom. She's in. So the clutch plate is ready to go on, but before I do that, look at these grooves in here. I have never seen something like that before. That is so funky, and there's markings on this peg, and if I spin it around, which is actually pretty cool, all the plates stay in, but the metal moves. There's markings on this one, very slight grooves. And if I spin it around a little bit more, there's a mark there and a deep gash on the back of that one. That's weird. Maybe this clutch has been repaired before because the plates, when I took them out, they were not in a line with that groove right there like they are on mine. So maybe this thing blew up and it's been repaired before. Anyway, I hope these grooves and damages to these things are not vital. So now let's slide this clutch plate on with the metal ring and the last friction plate, along with the teeth bolt that connects to the actual shifter. Boom. Now we take the brand new springs, slip them on just like this. These teeth for this bolt are supposed to be facing backwards when you put the clutch cover on, but it is turning because the heavier side of the bolt is forced down with gravity. Those teeth slot in to that gear right there. Now we've got the plate and the bolts to secure those springs just like this. All my friction plates are in a line. We have everything tightened down. These bolts are at 7.5 foot-pounds according to spec. With the new springs in here, these are the old springs. Now it's time to put this case cover on and line up the teeth right inside there with the teeth on this bolt. But first we have to clean the mating surface all around the case and take off this gasket on the old case and replace it with a new one. After many tries, we finally got the clutch cover on with that gear positioned perfectly. As you can tell on the bottom of the case, there's no slop in this black piece. And I adjusted these nuts so that there's no slop in the cable as well. Now I'll show you, I'll pull the clutch lever in, pulling it in. Beautiful. So now I'm gonna put all the bolts back in the case, tighten down that clutch cable, and clean everything up. Then we're gonna fire this thing up, see how it works. I was pretty fortunate on one of the bolts. I must have missed my torque wrench reading. Look at that, split right down the center, but I was able to spin it out. Let's put this baby back together and take it for a test drive. That's a massive baby bird. Well, we did it, guys. The R1M is back in action. Ready for more ripping. We'll catch you in the next one. See ya. Oh yeah, next video is a new build. See you then.